Hello friends, my name is Sachin Malik. In this video, we are going to learn about good knight versus bad bishop and how to play it. In this position, white played bishop cross f6. This f6 knight is controlling the d5 square, so white played bishop cross f6 and eliminated the knight. Black played bishop cross f6 and here white played bishop to d5. This c6 bishop is also controlling the d5 square, so white played bishop to d5 and eliminated the c6 bishop. After rook ac8, white played bishop cross c6, rook cross c6. Notice that this d5 square is a weak square because black cannot control this square by one of his pawns. So we can put a piece on this d5 square. Here first white played rook a d1 to put more pressure, rook fc8, and now white played knight to d5. This knight is super strong. A centralized knight controls a lot of square in enemy position. Black played queen d5 and now white played pawn to c3 to reduce the pressure from black's rook. You can notice that we have a good knight. And what about this bishop? This bishop is a bad bishop because this bishop is blocked by its own pawns. This bishop is limited in its activity. So we can say that we have achieved a position of good knight versus bad bishop. Black played bishop to e7. White played rook to a1. Idea is to play a4 and open the a file and attack from the a file. Pawn to f6. This is a bad move because now the bishop is completely blocked. It's not a bishop anymore. It's like a tall pawn. White played pawn to a4, rook to b8, and this is a tactical mistake. Now white can play knight cross e7 check, queen cross e7, and queen d5 check, forking the king and the rook and winning the game. Let's look at the next example of good knight versus bad bishop. In this position, we are white. Take a look at this d5 square. This d5 square is a weak square because no other black pawn can cover it. If we can place our piece on this square, then it will become a very powerful piece. We cannot directly play knight d5 because black will play knight cross d5 and then we will have to capture with e cross d5. We want to put a piece on the weak square, not a pawn. How do we occupy this weak square with the knight? We have to bring another knight. We can play a move like knight to a5, then knight to c4, then knight to e3, and then go knight to d5. If black plays knight cross d5, then we play knight cross d5 and we will get a strong knight on a weak square. So white played knight a5, rook to c8, knight c4, queen c6, attacking this pawn and putting pressure here. White played knight e3. White is putting a lot of pressure on the a6 pawn, so black played a5. Now white is ready to play knight to d5. But before playing knight to d5, it is important to reduce the pressure on the c2 pawn. So white played rook c4 first. Queen a6, b3 protecting the rook, bishop to b6, rook cross c8 check, queen cross c8, and now finally white is ready to play knight e d5, knight cross d5 and knight cross d5. White have achieved a position of good knight. White's knight is a good knight because no black piece or pawn can chase away this knight from d5 square. This strong knight gives white an advantage in this position. In this position, we are black. How black can achieve the position of good knight versus bad bishop? Black played pawn to e5. Idea is to jump the knight to d4. Black is giving up this d5 square. Now our d5 square is also weak and white can put his knight on this weak square. Let's see what happened. White played bishop g2. Black played queen a8. Idea is to put more pressure on the e4 pawn once the c6 knight moves away. White plays knight c3. White's idea is to use this weak square for the knight. Black also played knight d4, knight to d5, and now here black played an important move. This knight is very powerful, so black played bishop cross d5 and eliminated this knight. C cross d5, and black has achieved a position of good knight versus bad bishop. Why this bishop is bad? Because white's central pawn are on light squares, and these light square pawns will hamper the activity of light squared bishop. So we have the situation of good knight versus bad bishop. Let's see how black continued. Black played a5. Idea is to play a4 and attack on white's queen side. Pawn to f4. Black played pawn f6, keeping all things solid. White played f5. Black played a4, continuing the attack. Bishop to f1. Idea is to activate the bishop from this diagonal. A cross b3, a cross b3, and now black played queen a3. White has a weak pawn on b3 because this pawn cannot be supported by any other white's pawn. So black's idea is to attack on this weakness. Rook b2 b1. White played rook a8 to stop rook a1, and in the next move black will play rook b8, rook b4, and then just double on the b file. All of black pieces will be attacking this weak pawn, and white will be reduced to a passive defense because of this bad bishop and a weak pawn. So black has an advantage in this position. I hope the concept of good knight versus bad bishop is clear to you. See you in the next video.